It's time. Fantasy football season is creeping up, and if you want to win your league, you've got to dig deeper than the consensus. Forget the ADP sheep. Today, we're diving into the sleepers, the under-the-radar monsters that could break your league wide open. One at every position. Let's go. Starting with quarterback J.J. McCarthy of the Minnesota Vikings. Remember, this guy was drafted 10th overall in 2024 to maybe be the starter last year, or at least a long-term starter. Then, of course, had that knee injury, missed all of last season, but now heading into 2025, it looks like he is the guy. They did nothing at quarterback all offseason to bring in any competition. It looks like the Vikings are confident with McCarthy as their number one QB. And when you look at this offense last year, not only did Sam Darnold have by far the best season of his career, he also ranked 8th in pass attempts among all quarterbacks, 9th in deep ball attempts among all quarterbacks, and 4th in red zone attempts among all quarterbacks. And in the time Kevin O'Connell has been the head coach, Minnesota has ranked 3rd, and 15th in terms of pass play percentage. This is going to be a pass-first offense. And what else did Minnesota do this year? Nothing when it comes to running the football. Yeah, they brought back Aaron Jones and they signed Jordan Mason, but they haven't done anything that makes me think Kevin O'Connell is going to go to a more run-heavy approach. And the real nice thing for McCarthy here is in college, he played in a pro-style offense. This isn't a guy who needs time. As long as he is healthy, he is ready to go. Last year at this time, after being picked number 10, a lot of people were very excited about J.J. McCarthy. But now that he missed a year and didn't play, and he's kind of out of sight, out of mind, people aren't on him as much. He's currently going as the QB 20 on your underdog drafts. That means right now he could be potentially your QB2, but he's got the kind of upside to be a high-end QB2 and give you those weekly QB1 spike weeks in this offense like we saw with Sam Darnold last year. We've seen with almost whatever QB is under center for the Vikings, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, it almost doesn't matter. They're fantasy friendly, they're fantasy relevant, they have weekly upside. That's exactly what you want from the QB position when you're talking about your QB2, QB3. So I think J.J. McCarthy being completely slept on right now. Don't hear anybody talking about him. But this is a guy you should absolutely be targeting in these underdog drafts. And don't be surprised if he's a streaming option during the fantasy football season, even in your redraft leagues. Now on to tight end, and one of my favorite tight ends, simply because of his name, Chig Okonkwo. Okonkwo has not really been a fantasy relevant tight end over his first 3 years, but there are some positives here. Number one, this guy has not missed a game ever in his 3 years in the NFL. That's important. You got a tight end you know is going to be out there every single week. Also, over the last 2 seasons, 70 or more targets in each of those 2 seasons. Now those 70 targets haven't resulted in much because he's had to play with guys like Ryan Tannehill, Mason Rudolph, Will Levis, Malik Willis. I mean, he's played with some horrible quarterbacks, but they just got a massive quarterback upgrade with Cam Ward. And kind of like we saw last year with Zach Ertz and Jaden Daniels. Rookie quarterbacks love to target the tight end. Elijah Arroyo from Miami also played with Cam Ward last year, had one of the best tight end college seasons last year, was a top 5 prospect this year playing with Cam Ward. So we know Cam Ward will target the tight end position. Okonkwo is an athletic, pass-catching tight end. He's just been stuck in a miserable offense. And when you look at the pass catchers around here, this is the other thing we look for when we're looking for upside tight end. You got Calvin Ridley. You got Alec Ayamanor, who I do like, but he's kind of like a take the top off kind of guy. You got Tyler Lockett, who probably is cooked at this point. There's not a lot of competition for targets here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something similar to what we saw last year with Calvin Ridley in that McLaurin role, talking about the Commanders, and Chig Okonkwo in that Zach Ertz role. I know they drafted Gunnar Helm. I like Gunnar Helm, but he's a rookie tight end. I don't think he's coming in to steal Okonkwo's job. Also, Chig Okonkwo entering prime tight end age, 25 years old, entering year 4. This is when we see the majority of tight end breakouts. And he's currently going as the 28th drafted tight end on Underdog, which means he's probably your tight end 3 in a 3 tight end build. But this is the guy you can absolutely count on to give you some spike weeks throughout the season. And it wouldn't even surprise me if this guy was a top 15, maybe even a top 10 tight end, one of those sneaky tight ends that comes out of nowhere that helps you absolutely take down these tournaments. And if you also want to try to take down these tournaments and you're wondering what I'm talking about, go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Check out their best ball tournaments. These are draft-only tournaments where you can win potentially up to millions of dollars, like their flagship Best Ball Mania 6, which is going to make multiple millionaires in 2025. Just make sure when you do join, you join using promo code ENDGAME, because not only is that going to get you a free pick that you can use right away to win money, but you're also going to get up to $1,000 of bonus cash. All right, let's move on to the more sexy positions, starting with running back, and the only rookie on this list, Jadon Blue, Dallas Cowboys. Pretty much everyone, myself included, thought this was the year the Cowboys had to go early running back. There was too many good running backs to pass on, and they really didn't. But I love the running back they got in round 5 in Jadon Blue. Now, Jadon Blue, not the biggest running back here. He's kind of the same size Bucky Irving is, 196 pounds. But here's what I like. This guy is explosive, 4'3", 840, and he's also a fantastic pass catcher. Think Jahmyr Gibbs, but not quite as good as Jahmyr Gibbs, but that kind of player, that kind of explosive ability. A guy who only needs 12 to 15 touches to have a monster game. And when you look at this Cowboys backfield, it's not hard to see him, taking over this backfield at some point. Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders were two of the worst running backs by almost any metric last year. Now, Jadon Blue certainly has his issues. He had ball security issues, maybe a liability in pass protection, which means he's probably going to start the season off pretty slow, not seeing a lot of touches, like a lot of rookie running backs do. But as the season goes on, he could absolutely take over this backfield. He could absolutely be this year's Bucky Irving, that rookie running back who comes on in the second half of the season, helps people win fantasy championships, help people take down these best ball tournaments. And he's currently going outside the top 40 running backs, so he's a screaming value in fantasy drafts. This is one of my favorite late round, not only late round running back sleepers, but just late round sleepers in general, because he checks every box you're looking for in a potential league winner. He just needs to earn that opportunity. If he can do it, and the path to resistance is not very hard, if he can do it, he absolutely could be a league winner. And then finally, a wide receiver, let's dig deep. Let's go with Josh Palmer, now of the Buffalo Bills. Now, this is a guy who's been solid when needed to be for the Los Angeles Chargers, but he's never been able to carve out that, alpha type role, and he's not really going to be that type of guy, probably no matter where he plays. But this is probably the best spot he could have landed here in Buffalo, because what did the Bills do this offseason on offense? Pretty much nothing. They signed Josh Palmer, they let Amari Cooper walk. That was pretty much it. So we're walking into 2025 with a wide receiver room of Khalil Shakir, second-year Keon Coleman, and Josh Palmer. Now, when you look at it, Shakir, sure, he's probably going to get the most targets. He's going to be solid. He's going to be what he is. Keon Coleman did not show me much as a rookie, and to be honest, was not a fan of his draft prospect profile anyway, so I'm still on the fence about what this guy can turn into. Now, Josh Palmer, I'm not going to say is some elite player. He doesn't really do anything elite, to be honest, but he's a big receiver. He's 6'1", 210 pounds, which means he can be a threat in the red zone, give you that touchdown upside. He's always been a good, reliable wide receiver. That's kind of what this offense needs. No, I'm not going to say Josh Palmer is going to, crack the top 20, top 15 wide receivers, anything crazy like that. But this guy is going so late in underdog drafts. He has that spike week potential in this offense, and that's what you want when you're talking about late round sleepers. You're not looking for week in, week out consistency. You want those massive spike weeks. In this offense, this is a guy who can have those weeks where he's scoring 2 touchdowns, getting 80 to 100 yards. Not going to do it every week, but the spike weeks are there. I'm going to take chances on Josh Palmer in this Bills offense in my 2025 underdog drafts, because I think he has the weekly upside we're looking for in those later rounds. And when you're talking about your fantasy football league, you want to win your championship, not just make the playoffs. That's why you need to stay tuned to Fantasy Endgame all off season. We got you covered with all the content you need to win and dominate this year. You can find it all in our 2025 playlist right here.